It was an ordinary summer afternoon in Michigan, but by the end of that day, one of the most powerful men in America would vanish without a trace. Jimmy Hoffa, the charismatic and controversial leader of the Teamsters Union, was last seen standing in a restaurant parking lot. What happened next has baffled investigators, fascinated conspiracy theorists, and terrified those who knew too much. This is not just a tale of a missing man. It's a dark journey into the shadows of organized crime, power struggles, and a web of secrets that no one dared untangle. Let's delve deep into the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, a case that remains as haunting today as it was nearly 50 years ago. The rise of a labor kingpin. To understand Hoffa's disappearance, we must first understand the man himself. Born in 1913 in Indiana, Hoffa came from humble beginnings. By his teens, he had already developed a knack for organizing workers and standing up to oppressive bosses. It wasn't long before Hoffa joined the Teamsters, a growing labor union that represented truck drivers and warehouse workers across the United States. Hoffa's rise was meteoric. He became the union's national vice president in 1952 and eventually its president in 1957. But his success didn't come without controversy. Hoffa's aggressive tactics and connections to organized crime made him a polarizing figure. He was loved by many for improving workers' wages and conditions, but loathed by others for his shady dealings. Hoffa's partnership with the mob was an open secret. In exchange for their financial support and muscle, Hoffa granted the mafia influence over union pensions, which were often used to fund mob-controlled projects. It was a relationship built on mutual benefit and mutual destruction. The fall from grace. By the 1960s, Hoffa's power had reached its peak. But with power came scrutiny, and none was more relentless than that of Robert F. Kennedy, who was determined to bring Hoffa down. As Attorney General, Kennedy launched an all-out war against organized labor corruption, and Hoffa was his prime target. In 1967, Hoffa was convicted of jury tampering, fraud, and attempted bribery. Sentenced to 13 years in prison, Hoffa's reign appeared to be over. But even from behind bars, he remained a force to be reckoned with. In 1971, Hoffa's fortunes took an unexpected turn when President Richard Nixon commuted his sentence. There was one catch. Hoffa was prohibited from engaging in union activities until 1980. But Hoffa had no intention of sitting on the sidelines. The brewing storm, Hoffa's determination to regain control of the Teamsters, set the stage for his downfall. His return posed a direct threat to his old allies in the mob, who had grown comfortable with his replacement, Frank Fitzsimmons. Unlike Hoffa, Fitzsimmons was easy to control, a puppet who didn't challenge their authority. Hoffa's insistence on reclaiming his throne didn't sit well with the mafia. His fiery rhetoric and refusal to back down created powerful enemies, including Anthony "Tony" Provenzano, a high-ranking mobster and former ally. Hoffa and Provenzano had a long-standing feud, one that had turned violent on multiple occasions. July 30th, 1975. The day Hoffa disappeared. On that fateful day, Hoffa arranged a meeting with Provenzano and another mobster, Anthony "Tony" Jack Giacalone, at the Machus Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Hoffa believed this meeting would be a step toward reconciliation and a chance to negotiate his return to power. At 2 p.m., Hoffa arrived at the restaurant. Witnesses later recalled seeing him pacing the parking lot, visibly annoyed that his companions were late. At 2:15 p.m., he called his wife Josephine to complain about being stood up. That was the last time anyone heard from Jimmy Hoffa. By evening, Hoffa's family grew concerned. He always came home for dinner, and his absence was out of character. His son, James P. Hoffa, found his father's car in the restaurant parking lot. unlocked and empty. It was as if Hoffa had simply vanished into thin air. The investigation begins. The FBI launched an extensive investigation, but from the very beginning, they were met with dead ends. The list of suspects was long, and the evidence was practically non-existent. One theory suggested Hoffa had been lured into a car, murdered, and his body disposed of within hours. The mob was known for its efficiency when dealing with threats, and Hoffa's disappearance had all the hallmarks of a professional hit. But where was the body? Theories and alleged confessions. 1. The mob's hit. The prevailing theory is that Hoffa was killed on orders from the mob to silence him once and for all. Some speculate that Provenzano orchestrated the hit, while others believe Giacalone played a role. 2. The crematorium theory. Some believe Hoffa's body was taken to a mob-controlled crematorium, where it was incinerated. If true, this would explain the lack of physical evidence. The Giants Stadium. Myth. One of the most sensational theories claims that Hoffa's body was buried under Giants Stadium in New Jersey. Despite being widely debunked, this theory continues to capture the public imagination. 4. A government conspiracy. Could Hoffa's disappearance have involved more than just the mob? Some theorists argue that the government had a hand in his vanishing, perhaps to cover up sensitive information Hoffa had on powerful figures. Decades of silence. Over the years, multiple mobsters and informants have come forward with alleged confessions or tips about Hoffa's fate. In 2004, the FBI searched a horse farm in Michigan based on a tip that Hoffa was buried there. Despite their efforts, no remains were found. The mob's code of silence, or omertà, has ensured that those who know the truth remain silent. Even those who might speak fear retaliation, or worse. A case that haunts history. As the decades pass, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. It's a story that continues to intrigue, frustrate, and terrify. How could a man as powerful as Hoffa simply vanish? Was it an act of betrayal, a calculated move to erase him from history, or something even more sinister? The legacy of a vanishing act. Today, Hoffa's name is etched into American folklore. His story is a cautionary tale of ambition, power, and the dangerous alliances that can lead to one's downfall. But it's also a testament to the enduring allure of an unsolved mystery, a puzzle that refuses to be solved. So what really happened to Jimmy Hoffa? Did the mob silence him for good, or is there more to the story than we'll ever know? One thing is certain. The secrets surrounding his disappearance remain buried deeper than any grave. Let us know your theories in the comments, and if you're as captivated by unsolved mysteries as we are, make sure to subscribe. Next time, we'll uncover another shadowy tale that might just keep you up at night.